Hi everyone, it's Vela from Online Combat Battalion with another Arma 3 editor tutorial for you. This one's in response to a question from the Popper source who asks about having multiple tasks that you can complete in any order, and when the tasks are all completed, the mission will end. So let's get straight into it. Firstly, we need some tasks. So I'm going to grab a task module, which you can get from F5 modules. Intel create task. Also need a set task state for that. So I'm just going to copy those because I want to have 3 tasks just to demonstrate how this works. Okay, so the first task I'm going to set as a move task. So I'm going to go to all playable units. I'm going to call that task 1. And I'm just going to have the task as move here. Then I'm going to open the set task state and select it as succeeded. And I'm going to right click, connect and sync to the task. And I'm also going to grab a trigger and I'm going to make this a 10 by 10 trigger, and I'm going to have the activation type as any player present, and I'm going to sync that to the set task state. Now with this trigger, I want to give this trigger a variable name, and I'll explain why shortly. So I'm just going to call this T1 because it belongs to the first task, or task 1. Let's go to the next one, and I'm going to set this as a move task as well. So for all playable units, I'm going to call that task 2 and get over here. Again, I'm going to go into the set task state, select it as succeeded. I'm going to grab a 10 by 10 trigger. I'm going to sync it to the set task state, and I also need to sync the task to the set task state, which I've done here as well. Now with this trigger, I'm going to give this a variable name of T2 because it belongs to the second task, and I'm going to set that as any player present for the activation. Okay, now I'm going to go to the third task and select all playable units. This is task 3, and take out bad guy. And I'm going to open the set task state as succeeded. Right click, sync to the task. And then I'm going to have a trigger. It doesn't need to be any size. I'm going to open the trigger. I'm going to call this T3 because it's the third task. You don't need to worry about any activation type here, but in here I'm going to put live Fred, and I'll explain why in a second. So I'm going to grab a civilian, I'm going to place him down, give him the variable name of Fred. Then I'm going to sync this trigger to the set task state. And I don't need to set an area trigger. One thing with each of these tasks is we need to set them to created, I believe it is. So yeah, they're all set as created, which is what we want. Now to fire all of these tasks, what we need is a trigger, and again I'm going to use a 10 by 10, and I'm just going to shorten that up a little bit so I'm not in the trigger as soon as the mission starts. Now for all these triggers, all these tasks to activate, I'm going to sync them to each of the tasks. So right click, sync to all of the tasks. Okay, and this trigger will be activation type any player present, because it's the simplest way to do it. So we'll make sure that our triggers have the task markers in them. Now what I've done here is I have a separate trigger that's not of any particular size. We're going to open that and have a look. So in here, in the trigger condition, I have trigger activated T1 and trigger activated T2 and trigger activated T3, which is the condition for this trigger to fire. So that means that once tasks T1, T2, and T3 triggers have all been activated, then this trigger will activate, and in the on activation section I have in brackets and inverted commas end one and then call BIS FNC end mission. Okay, now let's just make sure these are all set to succeeded, all these set task states, they are, and let's now see how that all works. Okay, in the mission we're about to enter the trigger that will kick off all the tasks. So there we have our tasks popping up to tell us what we need to do. Now you won't see these tasks marked anywhere with a marker, but you can see them on the map. And just to show you that these can be completed in any order, we've got task 1 here, task 2 and task 3. I'm going to complete them in reverse order. Okay, so our first task is to take out this guy. So you can see the task is completed. The next task, this is task 2 and this is task 1. I'm going to assign task 2, which is a move task. I'm going to move into that trigger area. The task will be completed. And then I have the last task, which is actually task 1 here. And once I fire this trigger and move to that location, because of the last trigger we placed with the end mission function code in it, the mission will end. And there we go. What you can do if you want the tasks to be always visible to everyone once the mission starts, you can go into the task creation modules and select always visible for each of them. And as you'll see, it will show you the tasks as visible markers for everyone to see. Okay, so we're going to move into the trigger that fires all the tasks. You'll see them not only pop up, but you'll see that we also have visible task markers for each that are always visible. And to show you that this works as I said it would, I'm going to complete these tasks in a completely different order this time. Now, you can either go to the map to click and then assign, or you can press J for Juliet, which is the default, and assign from here. So you'll see now that the task marker over here has changed color to be the active task. And there we have the task complete. Now I'm going to select the other move task. I'm going to move to here. And then I'm going to select the last task. And you can see those other tasks have disappeared off the map because they've been completed. And take out this guy. And the mission will end. Okay, just going to do a quick recap to make sure that we have a good understanding of where we're up to and what we need to do here. So a trigger to activate all the tasks, which is an any player present trigger. So when any player enters that trigger, it will fire all the tasks. This trigger is synced to the create task modules. Each create task module has a set task state, which is succeeded. Each of these set task states has a trigger synced to it. And this one is any player present because it's a move task. And we have variable names for each of the triggers. So T1, T2, T3. And we just make sure we put a name, like a task ID for each of these tasks as well, which you probably would have seen me do before. So it doesn't matter what order you complete these tasks in, as I showed you before. And we've got our trigger here for trigger activated T1, T2, and T3, which are the variable names of each of the triggers. And then in the on activation section for this trigger, we have the end1 call BIS FNC end mission function, which will end the mission. That's pretty much it. Thanks so much for the question. Thanks to everyone for surpassing 4,000 subs. That is absolutely amazing. I will make this mission a downloadable link in the description below, and you just need to grab the zip, uncompress it or unzip it, place it in your MPMissions directory, the folder in the MPMissions directory, open the editor, and you'll be able to jump into the mission and edit it there. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and I'll see you in the next video.